The numbers. The numbers are the answer. If only I can unravel the mystery of the numbers. 9. The answer, that's it. 9. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is Super Saturday, the show where we discuss all things super and awesome. Today, we're jumping into the time machine and rolling back the clock to a very specific set of coordinates. September 9th, 2009. Yes, that's right. 999. Or was it actually April 11th, 2005? The answer lies in the numbers. And with Shane Acker. Acker, you might know as an animator on The Return of the King, a pre-visualization artist on 2012's Total Recall remake, a pre-visualization supervisor on 47 Ronin, and a cutscene animator for Guild Wars. But perhaps his best known work is based on a student project he'd done at UCLA, an 11-minute animated short called 9. Now, lots of student projects are shown at UCLA and elsewhere. However, this particular one was viewed by none other than legendary filmmaker Tim Burton. Burton was obviously very impressed, but we're getting a touch ahead of ourselves. The plot of the short revolves around a sentient ragdoll named Nine. He's the last of his kind, living in the ruins of a post-apocalyptic Earth. He's being hunted by a mechanical monster that wears a cat skull. We'll call it Cat Beast. Nine has an epiphany. He remembers his mentor, another sentient ragdoll named Five, and hatches a plot to trap the cat beast in a pit, which destroys it. From the cat beast's corpse, Nine retrieves the remains of the other sentient ragdolls. However, in so doing, he uncovers a bit of magical power hidden in the amulet he wears, and the other ones. Once activated, the stolen souls of the other ragdolls are freed, and Nine wanders off into the waste, having accomplished his great mission. The short is interesting as Acker rejects the notion that it's flat humans against machines. But since all the characters are in some way machine, it's more about finding the human within the machine. It's very much a notion embedded deeply in our modern techno-saturated culture, for what it's worth. This is perhaps driven home even more as the film is almost entirely CGI, thus the machine theme continues. I imagine if it were made today, it would be generated largely by AI in addition to CGI, but I digress. From this short was born the feature-length film released September 9th, 2009. Written by Pamela Petler, is produced by Tim Burton, naturally, along with Jim Lemley, who had just produced his 2008 action thriller Wanted with James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie. Along with Lemley came the Kazakh-Russian producer Timur Bekmambetov. That's the best I could do on that one. But he's also known for Wanted. Dana Ginsburg rounded out the group of producers, and they all got a budget going for around $30 million. With that, they hired voice actors, including Christopher Plummer, whose acting credits are too numerous to even try to go into for this short video. Also Martin Landau, whose credits range decades in every conceivable genre as well. John C. Reilly from Days of Thunder, Boogie Nights, and Gangs of New York shows up, along with Crispin Glover, who you might recall as a certain George McFly in Back to the Future. Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth and Requiem for a Dream makes an appearance, and Fred Tatasciore rounds out the supporting cast. You might recognize him from his extensive superhero voices, including Volstagg, the Hulk, Beast, and Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. The titular character of Nine is voiced by none other than Elijah Wood, who, despite having the creepiest villain ever as Kevin in Sin City, will perhaps always be best known as Frodo Baggins in a certain Peter Jackson trilogy. Alan Oppenheimer, no relation as far as I know to the guy who gave us the bomb, provided the voice for the film's villain. Oppenheimer you might know from his hundreds of credits going back to the 70s, including Overlord on Black Star, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms, and Merman from He-Man, and various roles on Thundar the Barbarian. Tom Kane and Helen Wilson round out some background voice work. The music had some big hitters as well, like themes from Danny Elfman, a score by Deborah Laurie, and Coheed and Cambria's Welcome Home. The film further uses Dies Irae chant from Crispin Glover and Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz, but these are not included on the soundtrack. Marketing for the film had a unique hook for the time. They set up a Facebook page under Nine Scientists and published some world-building type entries leading up to the film's release. Inactive since 2009, however, the page got another cryptic entry posted on January of 2017, leading many to speculate that a sequel might be in the works, but nothing seems to have come of it. Story elements from the short were included and expanded upon for the film. With the increased runtime, the film was able to go back and flesh out the world building a bit more, showcasing what had happened, making the world barren and desolate. Essentially, a scientist makes a robot which the government then acquires and utilizes for various tasks. The robot becomes smarter than its creator, takes over the world, and wipes out the flawed organics that made it. It's an outlandish, completely unbelievable narrative that has absolutely no parallels whatsoever to the modern era of humanity. That may or may not be dripping sarcasm, but I digress. The scientist that originally created the the robot, makes 9 little homunculuses, 9 little ragdolls called stitch punks. He infuses them with bits of his soul, and the last one, the titular 9, taking the last bit of it, and the scientist shuffles off from this mortal coil. Differing from the short, 9 awakens long after organic life is gone and the other stitch punks have become active. He has his medallion, though, from the short, and like the short, he has to go on a journey of figuring out what that does. Meeting up with the other Stitch punks, they are being hunted by Cat Beast, just like the short. Here, however, the Cat Beast doesn't eat their souls, as cats are known to do, but it brings the Stitch punks to the fabrication machine, the original robot responsible for the end of all organic life, and it sucks out their souls. Lots of harrowing chases and many, many heroic sacrifices later, 9 figures out what his amulet is for and uses it to release the trapped souls within the machine, destroying it. Further, as the souls are released, their freedom brings rain, which restarts organic life on Earth. Critical response was a mixed bag. Although the film received positive reviews, in text and so on, it still sits at about 57% approval on Rotten Tomatoes and 60 out of 100 on Metacritic. Robert Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, likening it to the great works of Hayao Miyazaki, but falling a little short on substance. Sure, but the film is up there being considered with Nausicaa and My Neighbor Totoro, so not bad for a rookie, am I right? Sadly, the film flopped at the box office, grossing $48 million on a $30 million budget. Napkin Math suggests it needed to hit numbers in excess of $60 million, so yeah, it didn't do great. That being said, I found the film so enjoyable that I did in fact buy myself a copy. Get your physical media. True, I bought it at the local flea market for $1, but that's not the point. The point is the film is enjoyable, and enjoyable enough that I've watched it several times. So, even though it may have fallen short of expectation, it doesn't fall short on entertainment. So I do in fact encourage y'all to give it a try. Like I said, it can be found at flea markets and such, so it's not difficult to find, and it's not expensive. But there you have it, folks. 2009's 9. Man, that number scheme just sounded so clever on paper, but it is awkward when talking about it. Regardless, hope you all enjoyed this brief little review of a forgotten flick. And that's all for today. Thank you one and all for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, it is Saturday morning, you all. Pop in a cartoon of your own. Keep the tradition alive. While you're at it, watch yourself a good movie, read a comic, roll some dice, gather around the table, make some memories, drink your little water, get some exercise, and as always, have a good one.